All right, let's get to my first guest of the evening, singer, songwriter, Nashville based. He's a songwriter, an author, and even a principal. Part of the Americana band, One Way Home. He's top notch at what he does. I'm joined with Mark Elliott. He's with me right now. How's it going, sir?
Well, I'm doing well, Ken. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you too, man. I've been enjoying your music.
Thank you.
It's very, very talented, good, heartfelt music that you're putting out. So I'm happy to have you
Oh, good.
on and
Appreciate
get to
that.
know you. Um, so with all that being said, how did your musical journey got started? What got you into music?
Well, I was lucky enough to grow up in probably the best, music decade ever, the '70s. So, I was a young boy in the '70s and grew up on my parents' record collection, all those wonderful, singer songwriters of the '70s and funk bands, and so I was just introduced to great music early, and as you know, a lot of that music was pretty lyric based, so I got moved by words early on. I think because of that. Um, so that guy gave me my entree into wanting to do music was just being around great music, and then falling in love with writing, and eventually a famous singer song named Tom Paxton took me under his wing when I was living in Washington D.C. and as a teenager, and kind of taught me to write and taught me the ropes, and he eventually moved me to Nashville. Oh gosh, some 31, 32 years ago now.
Hmm.
Oh,
The '70s was quite the era, quite the time. So many talented musicians have got their start there at that time. And back then, that was my mom and dad days, the 30s and such, 30-year-old days. Um, and I've been
sure.
fortunate to be around. Got as I got into this world, I started to hear the '70s music through my dad in his office, and I'd be asking a lot of questions like, "Who's this person? Who's that person?" I mean, I was curious about these artists. So,
Yeah.
the '70s, very very good time, good decade of amazing music back then, and it still
Well,
gets her to
if
this
you go
day.
back and if you go back and look at a top 100 sheet from any year of the '70s, like a Billboard Top 100,
Yeah.
not only are you going to see hits, obviously that's what it is, but these are classics. It's not hit after hit; it's classic after classic. So I feel really lucky, honestly, to have kind of come of age musically in that time because it really set a fire to make music and write music that mattered, that had something to say, because those decades had something to say. So I had that early marker on as a writer, try to say something.
Yeah. So, speaking of that decade, who was some of the artists back then that stood out to you most? But as it pertains to their music, to their body of work, who's some of the artists that stood out
Yeah.
to you?
Well, there were so many, especially in the singer-songwriter genre, where you're talking about, you know, John Denver, Gordon Lightfoot, Jim Croce, Harry Chapin, um, all. I just fell in love with the singer-songwriters because they had kind of a message behind them. But I also love um, Aquarius and some of those kind of big earlier '70s. I love the Bee Gees. Um, it was all just really musical, but I keep coming back to the singer songwriters because the lyrics, I guess I didn't really know it at the time, but I think I was really moved before I was moved by music, even though it was delivered in a song. I just fell in love with the power to say something, and kind of jonesed for that all through my teenage years. And I was lucky to connect with Tom Paxton, that legendary, singer-songwriter from the 60s who really kind of validated that thought of like, hey, if you're going to write something, if you're going to sing something, make it matter. Not everything has to be a message, of course, but, say something that matters. And that's been my lifeblood.
Absolutely. So with you, you do all types of things. Obviously, you're an artist, you're an author, you're a principal,
Sure.
you're part of a band called Runaway House.
Runaway Home, yeah.
Runaway Home. My bad. So.
Well,
yeah.
Part of that, Kenny, is I think being a writer affords you the ability to kind of do different things, whether it's songs or books or blogs. But as you know, in today's entertainment universe, if you can't diversify and do about 10 different things with your talents, you're in trouble because, the money is not great. The money has dried up. The income for songs, given the, digital world and just the social media world we live in, it's not the same income stream that it used to be when I was writing songs as a staff writer in Nashville for other people, so one of the things that you have to do is diversify, and so, I write songs. I have my own solo career. I have this great Americana band that's going on a dozen years now called Runaway Home, as you mentioned. I'm also writing books. I own a studio. And that's all to say I'm just trying to put all the efforts I have into, different mediums to participate in the entertainment industry, because it's just, if you don't diversify, I think doing one thing will leave you out in the cold.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In this day and age, you definitely have to expand. You have to evolve. You gotta show that you are more than one dimensional. Dimensional.
Yeah.
So in your case, you definitely showing that you can do all types of things, and it's worked out for you. You definitely show what you're made of. So respect to you in that regard. It's definitely key. So obviously you gotta find what you're good at and see where that takes you. And so
sure. And the other side of the coin too is that I'm an older artist. I've been around the block, and this is a young person's world, unless you fight really hard and you have something to say, right? Yeah. So I protect relevance as much as I can. I try to stay relevant, whether that's in working with younger musicians to kind of keep a foot in, today's world. But I also have lived a long time and done a lot of things, good and bad, and I got a lot to say. And so I think as an older artist, it's more imperative even that you try to participate in as many mediums as you can. So, for example, when I first started writing songs as a staff songwriter in my early 20s, all I knew were 2.5, 3-minute commercial country songs. That was my job. And everything was about, getting it in the amount of time and the rhyme scheme and the format. That's what commercialism was all about. But when I started writing years ago, I started writing a blog for the band and really started just falling in love with longer form writing, not just 3 minutes, what does 5,000 words feel like, and that of course led to writing books. And that's my current favorite joy, I think, is having the room to spread out and put thoughts down on paper that way. So it's been good. I get bored of one little thing, I can pivot to the other. So these singles I've been putting out, and appreciate you again promoting me. have been really great for those because I do a little bit different than some of my younger friends who put them out a lot quicker. There may be something to that, but I put them out and I kind of sucked the lifeblood out of them for 6 to 8 weeks because my measurement of whether a song is doing well, and people always ask you this question, right? Well, how's the song doing? In the old days, you could tell somebody how a song was doing. It's moving up the chart, moving down the chart. The checks are getting bigger, the checks are getting smaller. I mean, I could answer that question. Now it's kind of hard to answer. Like, do you answer like, well, the streams are pretty good? Do you answer about social media engagement, people coming out to shows? And I guess being an older artist who's still swinging for the fences, my goal is engagement. And so if a song does well, that means that people are sharing it, talking about it, writing on social media, and then they're coming out to shows. You know, that's my current measurement stick for, hey, how's your song doing? You know,
that's the way to put it. Engagement, obviously, especially if you're an independent artist or unsigned artist, you're trying to get yourself out there. Some people have been able to do it on their own. Some been able to, get some help here and there. Obviously, it's important get that support from the fan base as well. Word of mouth is key. It's just digital music era that we in. It definitely would be challenging at times.
You have to continue to release music. Whether you're releasing a lot of music every few weeks or you're every 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, you do have to continue because I think people know that you're doing it when you're doing it, but the moment you let your feet off the gas, there are so many challenges to people's attention span, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of books out there, tons of music every day. So I think part of staying in people's lives with your music is literally just continuing to create. So I'm a big believer in content creation. If I don't have a book or a song, then I don't know how I'm supposed to get you excited.
Well said. Shout out to all the content creators out there. So many of them, so many variety of them. There's something that I'm starting to embrace a lot more. So being a content creator, that's pretty cool. You got some awesome songs. We talked about your music, obviously. Talk to yourself, hear your voice. Those are your singles that came out this year. And you talk about songs with a message, with some substance. I want to talk about your latest single, Hear Your Voice. Talk about the process of putting that song together.
Sure. Well, I have a good pal of mine that I write with a lot named Gabe Verdulis. He also produced this single and a handful of the other singles. And we work together. We've had actually a midnight Tuesday night writing appointment for 5 years now. We're both night owls, and so every Tuesday night at midnight we gather to write a song. And like any songwriting session, sometimes it's a grind and you don't have it, and sometimes it falls out. Hear Your Voice was something that fell out really quickly. And the cliche of a song coming quickly is not a cliche for nothing. When they come that way, they're pretty special. Like, you don't have to work too hard. The words are there. And this is, I think a lot of times songs like that come from real life. I write about my life. I write about my friends and family's lives. I try to, dive into what's real. And this Hear Your Voice is definitely a real thing for me. I was married to a wonderful singer-songwriter here in Nashville years ago. And we're still in touch, and there's still you can't just put somebody down, or put a love down or a friendship down. You can move on, but you don't 100% put those things down. And so sometimes those feelings show up in songs. And this particular night, it showed up in this song idea of like, hey, yeah, it's cool talking on the phone, you know, but sure would love to hear your voice in person. And I think anybody can relate to that, again, whether we're talking about your old friends or family. There's just something about, it's good to connect on the phone, but there's something lonely about the phone, you know. There's something pretty distant about the phone, and that urge to connect on another level is always there. So all of that kind of history and thought went into this one particular Tuesday night, and the song just flowed. What I love about it is it's upbeat. It's got a heavy message, I guess, but it's kind of upbeat and has an edge to the production. So I think it's a pretty accessible song. It's fun to sing.
And, you know, technology definitely plays a factor into, you know, communication or lack thereof. Text here, a text there. I feel like we need to get back to, you know, communication, face-to-face communication. I mean, I agree. I know we're still dealing with this whole pandemic thing. You know, around this time last year, we was all in the house, just hoping that this virus thing be under control. And in some parts it's have, and in some parts it hasn't this year. But I mean, we've seen faces again. But it's such.
But you're right about text. I think we've lost. I'm not a big fan of texting. I do like the, you know, hey, be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or whatever that message is. But, you know, we've lost, I think we've lost a lot of language, especially young people. You know, those of us that are older and have fat thumbs and still can do the texting and cuss it out and don't care are fine. But young people have lost the language. I mean, we've shortened words into acronyms.
Yeah.
And now we've shortened acronyms into emojis.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so I'm worried about, I don't think text is the only culprit, but I like you, worry that we have lost an intimacy to our language and our connection because of some technology. I agree with that.
Yeah, and social media, and you know, we used to have complete sentences. Now it's like you just shorten it 3 words or 3 letters or an emoji, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
and that's why I want to write songs that matter. I mean, you know this with your own listening habits.
Mm-hmm.
I still listen to songs that I listened to 40 years ago. Daily. I mean, almost daily. You know, I will go seek out that Jim Croce song because I'm in the mood for that song, you know, or a Joni Mitchell song or whoever. But these songs are not out of my life, even though they've been in my life for 40 years. And one of my goals as an artist is to make those kind of songs where, when the song is out and people see it on Instagram and Facebook and Spotify, they know it's out. That's great. But once it dies away, it dies away. I want to make a song. I want to continue making songs that I hope fans and people that just kind of stumble upon my music will put in their hip pocket, and on that night they want to celebrate, or that night they want to cry, or that night they want to just chill, whatever it is they want to do, they go searching for my song. Because I do that all the time. I go searching for specific songs, and I don't let them disappear from my life as a listener. And that's what I'm hoping as an artist. At least I'll have a pocket full of songs that people might sit back and go, you know what? Thursday night, I want to go listen to a couple Mark Elliott songs and sit here and drink this scotch. You know, that would be right for me.
Check out the songs from Mark Elliott, hear your voice, and talk to yourself. Both songs are available on all digital music platforms. Show your support to these independent artists. Check them out. And I see that you got some shows coming up, including tomorrow at Kingston Springs, Tennessee, hometown bar concert. You're going to be in Nashville. You're going to be in Florida. You're going to be in a couple of places as we approach the fall.
It's starting to open up. Yeah, it's starting to open up a little bit, which is nice because it's hard to produce music and not go out and play it. You know, that's hard on the psyche a little bit. There's something about playing it live that makes it come alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely,
Uh,
it just makes everything that you put the song into worth it, is to play it in front of an audience.
yeah,
So the countless hours in the studio and writing songs and putting the words together and just trying to come up with the hook, and then when you get to perform it live in front of an audience, then it's like, man, all that hard work and dedication just makes it worth it. So it's just,
yeah. That's kind of the most important step is to get that feedback, especially live. Yeah. So yeah, things are going well, man. I really appreciate you having me on and
yeah,
talking up the songs. I'm gonna have a new single coming out. We don't have a date yet. Probably the end of October, and it's called "Drunk for Nothing."
okay.
So it's going to be a straight ahead commercial country tune, but another fun midnight Tuesday night right song. So stay tuned.
All right, so check out Mark's website at markelliottcreative.com. Got all the music,
Right.
got One Way Home music, the Sons of Star Mount book. Check that out as
Yeah.
well. And check out the singles. Check out everything that is Mark Elliott. He got everything covered literally on markelliottcreative.com. Great chatting with you, Mark. Thank you so
Great talking with you,
much.
Kenny.
And continued success. I look forward to the new song. Be safe out there and enjoy the rest of your night.
Will
Enjoy
do.
the rest of your evening.
You too. I appreciate your time, my friend.
All right, you have a good night.
All right. You too.
All
Bye.
right, bye bye. That was Mark Elliott, guest number one of the evening. Great chatting. That was quite the lengthy interview as well. He called in, I think, 5 minutes.